Today we are looking at the cards in order. Let's go. Alright, so we are nearing the end of this video series. We are now basically the last few cards of the set. So we have the order cards, and then after that we'll be looking at the Proving Grounds cards, and probably basically that's it, right? Like the other videos, first we're going to take a look at the champions and the color. So we will look at Darius here. Alright, so Legion, those cards basically that will have an effect if you played something else prior to it. So there's that, and stuff that could maybe help, either will trigger if you trigger Legion or something like that. So we'll look at cards like that if there are any. We'll also look at Leona, so stun cards, see if anything stuns in the color, that kind of thing. We'll also look at cards that are related to Victor, so if you see something with regards to token generation, with killing units to get an effect, because Victor can generate many units, you can just sack and kill your own recruits. If there's strong effects like that, we'll look at those and consider those for a deck like Victor. We have Set, the boss, in this color as well. So we'll take a look if there's any way for us to get EC buffs, stuff like that. Probably not in this color, I don't think, because we've seen them mildly heavily, very heavy on the orange. But we'll still see if there are any. Lux, so we'll check if there are any 5 spell costs, right? And last thing is Garen here, so if there's anything that plays multiple units a turn, maybe that's worth considering for Garen. Alright, so let's start. First card here we have is Back to Back, which is a 3 cost card here. Effect, give 2 friendly units +2 each, +2 this turn reaction. 2 friendly units +2, that's pretty good. That works very well with the tokens, right? It's easy for you to get, easy for you to get more than 1 unit, readily available every time, and then giving them +2, essentially you're turning a 2 might into a 6 might altogether. And at the same time, it's also, just think if there's anything else, maybe there are other cards that will help with that, but definitely something to consider in token decks mainly. Possibly you'd want to consider this in set as well. Next is Call to Glory, 3 cost spell. Another reaction. As you play this, you may spend a buff as an additional cost. If you do ignore this spell's cost, give a unit +3 this turn. Alright, so this one here looks at buffs, so definitely something that you will end up considering in a deck like Set, right? Set in here, as well as Leona. Leona buffs units, so those are stuff that you build buffs around. Oh, maybe there are buffs in here. I did say a lot of it. I'm doubting that there might be buffs in here, but I forgot Leona buffs unit, so maybe with stun and some buffs, buffing works with her on this color. We'll see. But yeah, that's Call to Glory. Next is a 6/4 unit Cruel Patron. At an additional cost to play me, kill a friendly unit. Alright, now we're talking. So this one here is one of those cards that I say is something that we'll kind of look at. So that works with this here, of course. You can just play random many tokens, right? And then you'll have access to this. In addition to that, you could also consider playing it in something like Darius. you play a small weenie unit or something with death knell, if there are cards like that in this, once we look at more of the cards. And now you could play Legion. Yeah, so this will become 3 cost, right? So 3 cost 6, and then you get the death knell effect of the other unit, so that's cool. So something definitely to consider. So stuff like this is kind of where this color I feel will shine a lot. Next is Call the Weak. 2 cost spell with 1 rune cost here. Each player kills one of their units. Another one here. So if your opponent, we were talking about Aurora, right? Aurora has, you know, big units. If you just play a recruit, play this, you kill a small unit, your opponent will have to kill their big unit. That's very, very huge tempo swing, right? So you could do that multiple times. That's gonna go crazy. So yeah, I expect to see Call the Weak being played, especially with the abundance of Aurora that I expect to see based on just how strong that card reads. Next is a 2/2 Daring Poro Assault +1 when I'm an attacker. Probably not in this color. It doesn't really do much for our color here, except maybe if they're definitely not much in Lux unless you just want a early game play. It might be on this if you want to play the Poro, the green Poro card. So yeah, other than that, I don't really see much with the Poro here. And the other Poros are just better, like the green Poro where you gain the shield instead of assault, right? Not that it's bad, but it's an early game card that's not typically an effect. Like, that's an effect that it's gonna basically it's gonna be more vanilla more than anything else. Is what I'm trying to say for the most part in the game. Next is 2 for 3 Faithful Manufactor. When you play me, play 1 recruit token here. All right. So something like this can be good in. Obviously, it's gonna be played in here. There's got to be an effect that works a lot with tokens. So I expect to see that in Victor and Garen. So with that, you play a unit. So now playing this puts you at 2 units right away, right? And then if you can play 2 more units, or if you already had 1 existing, 1 more unit, that kind of thing, then you'll have 4 units. Garen will go and draw 2. Now, with that being said, that's only looking specifically at a typical Garen build and not an Aurora Garen build. Well, once we see cards that could work with Aurora, we'll talk about that. Next is a gear here, Forge of the Future for 2 cost. When you play this, play a recruit token unit at your base. Alright, kill this, recycle up to 4 cards from trashes. Now I want to know the ruling on this when it comes to trashes, because some card games, anything that says like your discard pile doesn't even though they don't specifically say your discard pile, usually it's just yours. And I'm assuming that's kind of how this one would work too, just because that's a zone basically. It's not a unit on the field, it's not a card on the field, it's coming from a zone. So, and usually that refers to your own only. I'm not sure, that's something we'll have to check. But regardless, a gear like this is definitely useful, because even if it is just, you know, cards from your own trash, being able to put them back so that you can potentially use them at a later time is good. Good in Garen, for example. Why? If you play Aurora Garen, this gives you a unit that, you know, without having to play a card. in your deck. In addition to that, recycling, if your big units start dying and you're running out of the big units in your deck, you can just recycle them back. So something like that. Is this one very playable? You know, you can something like this where you gain an effect right away, and then you still get more for later, which is good. Next is Hidden Blade. The spell here costs 2 and 1 rune. So this is a hidden, and with an action effect or action speed, kill a unit at a battlefield. Its controller draws 2. This one I'm not really a fan of. You're giving your opponent 2 cards, and that usually is huge. That does a lot. You know, you're giving your opponent options, potentially giving them outs that, you know, if you're winning or even if you're losing, that could potentially put you losing even more. If so, the only thing I could see this happening is definitely not red. Red has enough kill spells. Green has enough stuff. Blue does too. Maybe orange, just if you're really lacking kill spells. You might want to play this and just give up 2 draws just so you can have a little bit more control. But I really, as much as possible, I do not want to play this if I can avoid it. If I really need removal, then I will in the colors if I can't find them in the color mix that I have. Otherwise, no, try not to, just because control your opponent drawing 2, or actually no, this, never mind, I totally misread that. So kill a unit at a battlefield does not specifically say enemy unit, or yeah, so it could be yours. So in that sense, yeah, never mind, this could be really good as well. Yeah, the only thing, obviously, you probably don't want to use this for hidden, because you end up paying 2 runes, which is no good. No, just play this as is and draw 2. Although even then, I don't know if you want to do that. Probably other better draw effects as well, especially in Victor. But hey. Next we got the Order rune here and this. This one I really like. This Order here looks like a shield, and then this one here looks like it's a sword, right? That's very neat with the emblem in there. Very, very neat. I like that. That's a very, very cool combination there of the non-full art and then the full, the non-full art and then the full art one. I like that a lot. Next is a 5/5 petty officer with assault +1. Now with this, it does start mattering compared to your weenies here like this, even though it's the exact same effect. A 2/2 going to 2/3 is good. Obviously it's a good trade, and you probably play that early if you have no other better plays, but there's so much better cards. A 5 though going into a 5/6, or a 6 rather, so 5 going into 6, that's a little bit more worth considering, right? Yeah, whether or not this will be played, not too sure. Like, I would only consider, or maybe consider it in Darius. I don't know, probably not. Because with Darius you want cards that are cheap, right? So yeah. Next is Soaring Scout, a 1/2 with a death knell, channel 1 rune, exhausted. So this one definitely we want to play this, something like that, and combo it with a Cruel Patron, for example, right? This one probably you want also consider playing this in Garen, and your opponent you just let your opponent play whatever, then sack this to a battlefield, channel 1 rune, getting you faster into Aurora. But actually you don't even want this in Aurora though, because it's a cheap unit, so maybe not that. But yeah, probably just Darius for this. We're considering for Darius something like, you know, cheaper unit to play this, and then you get the death knell as well and get that rune. Other than that, maybe considering playing it in Lux too, so that you could hurry up and be able to start casting your 5 cost a turn quicker. So yeah. Next is Trefarian Glory Seeker 2 for 2. Legion, when you play me, buff me. Alright. The Legion card here. So obviously this one works with Darius, right? So these Legion effects, just because they're cheaper automatically when you use the Darius effect, and then they also get their own effect, so you kind of want to play them together, right? They play a card, then you use your Darius effect, play this, so now you get this effect, and then it's a 1, so it becomes a 1/3. That mathematically is amazing, right? A lot of value in that, so yeah, I expect to see that in their stacks. Next is a 3/3. When you play me, play 2 1 recruit unit tokens here. Alright, so this one reads very well. This one you'd probably play obviously in here, playing more than 1 unit and a Garen deck 2 recruit unit that's very fast. You'd probably also play this in, or consider playing it in Victor, right? Let's play something, play this after. Now you have so many stuff on the board. I'm just waiting to happen. So yeah, you definitely consider this in Darius as well, just because it's a 2 cost that will give you 3 might and then 2 more bodies that are 1 might each, so 5 might in total for 2, which is amazing value. But in addition, they're all separate bodies, so if there's one that says, you know, deal 5 to a unit, if it's all in one, then you can kill that. But if it's on 3 bodies, then you can only kill 1, but the other 2 will live, that kind of thing. So yeah, very good card. I expect to see a lot of play. Next is Vanguard Sergeant. So it's a 4/4 vanilla. There's not much to say. We've seen them all. We've seen cards that tend to be better. So next is a 2-cost spell called Facebreaker. It's a hidden, an action, stun a friendly unit and an enemy unit, at the same battlefield. I guess it's okay just to kind of save yourself, but I don't really care to play it. I guess the stun is nice because it goes with Leona. Yeah, there's gotta be a use for this, I feel, where with Leona you stun something, another thing gets a buff and be able to kill something. I don't know, I can't think of it right now, but yeah, we'd probably consider this in Leona, but I don't know if it's any good. Doesn't read too well. Next is Imperial Decree for 5 costs and 2 runes. When any unit takes damage this turn, kill it. Huh. Because this one obviously is a Lux card. We could potentially look at playing it into Victor, right? I don't know if you'd play it in set. There might be better removals. If there's not, then yeah, just sack in a recruit, kill them instead. That's a good effect. I definitely like it in Lux a lot because it gives you a draw. So I'll kill something and draw. That seems very good. That feels very, very strong. In Darius, you probably don't care. You're in red, you have probably better options, but not only that, as much as possible you don't want to use your runes so that you can always play more than 1 unit each turn. Next is Noxian Drummer, 3 for 3. When I move to a battlefield, play a recruit unit token here. Alright, so that's strong. That's super strong. That's definitely a Garen card, right? If you can move for 3, yeah, when it moves, the effect happens. So not when you conquer, so you can just move to a battlefield, you play a unit token there, right? And then if you move it 3, you automatically get the Garen effect. So that's a Garen card for sure. You'd probably consider playing that in Victor for more recruit. Yeah, go. Next is Peak Guardian. When you play me, buff me. Then if I am at a battlefield, buff all other friendly units here. Set! That's a set card if I've ever seen one. You know, you really just want to have buff units. So if any of your buff units kinda started out, you could save some of them by going into set and using set's effect. So that's very, very good. Yeah. Another thing to consider this on is, of course, Aurora. You'll get into the cost where it's starting to get expensive, right? And buffing your big units, making them harder to kill is very, very strong. Yeah. Next is Salvage. 100% you play this in the side deck so that you have something for Aurora. This is a really strong effect. Kill a gear, draw one, right? Yeah, assuming this one here, it's always gonna be a draw anyways. You probably just play this in your main deck if you're not blue, right? Just so you have a draw right away, and then you just gain the plus if Aurora is a menace. Next is Solari Chief. 4 for 5 in 1. When you play me, choose an enemy unit. If it is stunned, kill it, otherwise stun it. Oh, okay. That's neat. That's a Leona card if I've ever seen one. We already know Solari, it's gonna be Leona anyway. But yeah, that reads very, very Leona. Stun. You could consider decks like that in Lux, or cards like that in Lux, because it's a more control-y type. So yeah, that's probably it. You don't think like this. You just consider adding for like set, just get a big unit, but it's more. But if other cards are better, just do it. You just put big units or beefy units or sticky units, and annoying units in set, right? But not really the greatest thing. What you really want for set are not only sticky units, but cards that are like when I attack, so that when they don't die, they live, you can come back and get another effect, that kind of thing, right? So yeah, next is a 4/4 unit here with 2 runes called Spectral Matron. When you play me, you may play a unit costing no more than 3 and no more than the rune from your trash, ignoring its cost. Alright. So that's a very, very cool card with a very cool effect. Garen, you play it in Garen. Probably not Aurora though. You would probably play this. So this card, it's a little expensive obviously with the 2 rune cost. But yeah, you can just probably play it. Yeah, you're probably not in set because that is expensive. But you might want to consider playing it in every other yellow deck. So just probably not Garen and probably not Darius and probably not Set. With Darius, like I said there, you don't really want to be using as much of these. The rune cost as much as possible. You try not to, just because you really want to make sure that you could pay for multiple cards a turn, rather than, you know, than not being able to. So yeah. Next is Symbol of the Solari for 1 cost a gear. If a combat where you are the attacker, infinite tie, recall all units instead. I don't like that. Sorry. Why? I'd rather just make sure that all of it is dead rather than having something live. You know, because you're the attacker, you're the one that's forcing this to happen, right? So why would, like, if the units will die, I know I'm okay with them dying. Otherwise, I'm not in the game to think about how can I make this and in a tie just so I can move them away. Alright, there's other ways to play, and that just you're trying too hard, basically, what I'm trying to say with this card. If you ever want to use that effect. Next. So we have Vanguard Helm for 2 cost, the gear. When a buffed friendly unit dies, buff another friendly unit. That's just set, and set. Whether or not we play it, if if we find that we're using set a little too much and we're kind of running out of buffs to the point where like our buff units are dying without being able to use the set ability, you might consider playing that. Next we have Vengeance 4 cost with 2 runes to kill a unit. You'd probably play it in the orange decks. Probably play it, I don't know if you're playing green, it's a little expensive, but probably worth considering if you really have no way of handling the big units. In blue, maybe, but not Lux. Lux you might consider it too, it's a spell, but it just doesn't do anything for those decks. Next is, yeah, just an expensive card. Good effect, but it's definitely expensive, so. If you compare it to like 3 cost, I believe that the red one is 3 cost, if I'm not mistaken. This one, 2 cost. It's almost 2 cost, kill a unit, or 2 units, right? Like I got that the ceiling on this can kill like bigger things, but at some point there's a level where things just are too much. Next is a 3/4 Albus Ferris. When you play me, spend any number of buffs. For each buff spent, channel 1 rune exhausted. Alright, so this card's really cool. There is a way where you could probably go crazy with this card. I wish this was on Lee Sin, that would have been really sick, right? But not. That's okay though. Yeah, definitely a deck that you probably kind of want to build around, but like you might want it on Darius so that now you can actually use runes or effects that have rune cost without feeling so super bad and falling behind that you can't actually abuse this Legion effect, right? So maybe consider it in there. Consider it maybe in Leona and Set buff, probably not Victor, because who cares about, you'll get there anyways, you just kind of hold with your root things, so yeah, it's okay. Next is Commander Ladros, 846 with 4, that's so expensive. As you play me, you may kill any number of friendly units at an additional cost, reduce my cost by whoa, never mind. It is expensive, but it's not as expensive as you think if you have a bunch of recruits that you've just been building over time. Very cool. Very cool. Worst come to worst, it's a sideboard for Victor decks, just in case they need something huge that their opponents can't kill. If, say, they can handle their tokens without a problem, but this one issue, it might be harder for them to kill, so depending on what your opponent is playing. It's also ganking, so this is just a very strong card. I expect this to see some play, yeah. Next is 4/4 Fiora. While I'm mighty, I have deflect, ganking, and shield. Ooh, that's cool. That's very cool. So you just need to buff her and she gains so many effects, which is really strong, right? So, and there's plenty of ways to buff her. So Set probably loves this card just because it's just so strong, and then she just doesn't die, right? Leona can buff her passively. Yeah, this might see play in Darius as well. I can see it, and probably Lux as well. I can see it because, yeah, even though it's hard to, if you can find ways to actually trigger this, it becomes really strong. Next is Grand Stratagem. 6 cost. Action friendly units gain +5 this turn. Oh, that's pretty strong. Just in this color, it is very strong because of we have ways to get so many units on board, right? So having +5 on all the tokens, making them all like 6, is super strong. That's basically a kill spell that it's probably better than this, right? I get that you pay more, but the ceiling on this is so much higher because you can actually kill so many units more than just this can. So this can snowball like crazy. So yeah, I expect this to see a lot of play. If we're playing a lot of Victor, yeah, play this. Next is a 6 for 8, a little expensive. Harness Dragon. When you play me, kill an enemy unit. Alright, just a kill spell straight up. Believe there was a card that we saw that reduces dragon costs, I believe. So this could be a cheaper card as well, right? Not necessarily 6 for 8, could be cheaper. And to kill something. Yeah, units are better than spells when it has effects like this. So I expect people to consider this. It might be a little too expensive to be playable, and you might just play bigger units that are better, so that that are also stickier than 6 might for the cost. But yeah, the effect is good. And a cool effect. I expect at the very least that this card people will try out and see if it's good and how that feels, kind of thing. Next, we have Karma Vision 6/6. Alright, when you cycle one of your cards, buff a friendly unit. Alright, so this one probably is something that people will consider on set decks as well. Buffing a friendly unit. Why not? And the more you have buffs in set, the more your set can pop off, which is good. This effect though, that first part, the vision part, that is very good on something like Lux. So I also kind of expect to see Lux decks trying this out at the very least. Next is Karthus, 3 for 3, your Death Knell triggers an additional time. Cool. Yeah, that's dope, and that's also cheap. If you already have a few Death Knells in there, you play this or play something with Death Knell, play this. So even if you don't kill the Death Knell, just it's a 2/3, and then that Death Knell can sack itself to get multiple effects. That very, very neat combo. So yeah, I expect this in Darius, because yeah, in Darius I think Death Knell, you want to play Death Knell in that. Yeah, neat. Next, they have a 6 cost spell again, King Edict. Starting with a player, each other player chooses a unit you don't control that hasn't been chosen for this spell. Kill those units. Hold on. Am I understanding this correctly? Starting with the next player, each other player, so not me, just each of the other players. Oh, that I don't control. So my opponent will have to choose something that I don't control, that haven't been chosen for King's Edict, or one of theirs that hasn't, and kill them. So just a kill spell of their choosing. The nice thing with this, obviously, it works with Lux. You just play this in Lux just because it's a kill something, draw a card. That's very good. So yeah, Lux card. Next is Leona Shield. When I attack, stun an enemy unit here. 4/4. I believe this is better than the other one, no? I just need some reminder of what the other Leona said. So Leona, if an opponent scores within 3 points and stun enemy units from minus, yeah, that doesn't feel too good. This card is still a very cool looking card. I believe that this one is just feels and reads better to me. You know, it is cheaper, and then it stuns when it attacks, which means it gains a buff, right? Gained a buff. So very strong. So now it's a 4/6 on defense. Strong unit. Very cool. Very cool combo. So I expect this to be the Leona that you'd be playing. Next we have Machine Evangel. 4 for 5 and 1 rune. Play 3/1 recruit unit tokens into your base for a death knell. Dope. You'd consider this obviously in face Victor. You definitely play this, consider playing this in Victor. Garen would probably play this automatically. You'd probably it's a little too expensive to consider for Darius in the way that we want to go death knell, play a unit to kill the death knell for the most part. Although with that being said, this is probably not something that you want to do that at 2 anyway. This is something that you just want to apply pressure with. So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, for example, right, you are at a base with 1 recruit. You probably want to play this to not only defend that base, but also put pressure to your opponent, because now they'll be afraid to try and win back that battlefield. Try not to win back that battlefield just because you just get 3 unit tokens right after. So that's huge, right? So yes, they could win one, they could re-win back that one, but if you have 3 recruit units and then all of a sudden you play something that kills 1 unit, they kill their 1 unit, right? Like that kind of thing. So yeah. And then if you have a Karthus on board, that's even more pressure, right? So now you have 6 recruit tokens, so that's crazy. And that's very good in like something like Garen as well, because then you just go with them and then draw 2. That's very cool, right? The nice thing with this is this also works in a in a Garen style Aurora, in an Aurora style Garen rather, sorry. So yeah, that's cool. Next is Set. Kingpin, 5 for 4 and 1 tank. I get +1 for each buffed friendly enemy unit at my battlefield. Okay, I believe that this might be better. I think this card just kind of forces kind of answers. Yeah, sure, good thing. So this one becomes stronger, of course, but I'm just trying to think. Yeah, the other one spent the buff and against +4 already. This one is just for every +1 or for every buff unit you have in the battlefield. So you're kind of your kind of ceiling is higher with this, but your floor is so much lower. Because how often are you gonna have 3 buffed units or 4 buffed units, right, to beat the +4 buff on the other one? It just, yeah, you just play the other one, I feel. Next is Shen, 3 for 3. Reaction speed. Whoa! That is really cool. So there are reaction speed units. That's very, very cool. I like that. And this is kind of crazy. This is crazy. I expect this card to see play a lot. You'd probably want to play it in anything. You can bait out Shens and, you know, kill stuff that your opponent's not expecting. You know, your opponent can start buffing stuff up, and then you just Shen, and now you're just jumping in with 5 might extra, and Shen has to get damaged first. That's crazy. Yeah, no, very very playable card, very crazy card. This is a card that's exciting to build. Yeah, no, the good card, the really good card. Next is Baited Hook, 3 cost gear. 1 return, kill a friendly unit. Look at the top 5 cards of your main deck. You may play a unit from among them that might up to 1 more than the killed unit, ignoring its cost, then recycling the rest. I'm not sure if I like this at all. Again, we don't like to look at the top 5 card effects. And there might have to be 1 more than the killed unit. Like, there's obviously effects like this that are really good in other card games, you know, like podding and stuff like that, where you just basically go up a power or go up a cost, whichever, depending on the card game. But just go up, basically you replace it with something stronger. So that part is neat. But usually when we have those kind of effects, it's not a look at the top 5 card, because it really feels bad if you ever miss on something like this, which you just killed a friendly unit and then you missed. No, you got nothing, right? And in card games that could happen. And then you have to, the cost is you have to recycle a rune to use the effect. That's very tough. This card is tough to say. Yeah, this is dope. One thing though that I will say is that even though I did say that, this has potential in, I can only think of one deck, maybe. Is aggro, would it be good in Darius? I'm just thinking if it's good where you go play a 2 cost unit, right, and then use Legion to play this. No, but then that's still too slow because of this. So this is like a, so 2, 3, so at 5 you need 5 to use this with a yellow to use it early, or 1 or 4 if it's 4 to 1 cost. Is there any good 1 cost? I kind of want to see, or 2 costs rather. And you got 2 cost. It gotta be red because I'm thinking Darius. 2 cost, Vi. No, 1 to 2. So you can really play it early. It's gonna be mid, close to the middle. Is it good enough? Probably not. Yeah, so I'll just move on from that card. I'm thinking if there's anything, because it seems it's a cool effect. Like the reason why I kind of tempted to just like look at this card is, like I said, there are other card games. An effect like this is so strong, right? But I can't, just that look at the top 5 is so painful. But maybe you build a deck like that, then that you will always have something to hit. I have no idea. I don't think so though. Anyway, Darius Executioner. When you play me, ready me. Other friendly units have +1 here. I believe I prefer the other Darius. This effect just seems so boring and basic. Oh, give me +2. Never mind. I think that might do better. When you play your second turn to Legion. Oh no. When you play your second card in a turn, give me +2 this turn and ready me. This one here is a Legion, so he only gets it once. They're ready, so The other one just feels better because then, yeah, you play 2 cards, it gets ready, you just pull it back if you don't need it, right? You play the other there, it's over this. Oh, whoa, what are those? We'll look at them later. Next is Divine Judgment, 7 cost. Each player chooses 2 units, 2 gears, 2 runes, and 2 cards in their hand to recycle the rest. Oh, that's neat. So this is screaming Lux, Lux, Lux. So you have 2 units and you can go down to 2 cards in hand. You just, and your opponent has more than 2 units. You know, they have, oh, but you go down to 2 runes. Wow. That's a reset, basically. Like hard reset. You'd play this. Where do you play this? Oh, you play this in like Darius. If you're thinking Death Knell stuff, or Garen, whichever. But Death Knell this is amazing in Death Knell. You know, you have your Karthus, you choose Karthus to live, something else, and then your Death Knell starts dying. You just lose. You're at 2 runes, but your Death Knell channels your runes, so you got 2 more runes. Like, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is neat. This card, I kind of want to experiment. There's definitely something that feels very, very cool and useful in this. So I want to experiment with that. Next we've got Seal of Unity. Yeah, just another one of those. If this, yeah, this should work with this. So that kind of makes it cheaper. Other than that, I don't really see. Maybe Karthus, yeah. It's not as good, but yeah, we'll keep it just like the other ones. Victor, when another non-recruit unit you control dies, play 1 recruit token. Just have to review the other Victor, but I feel like that one reads very well because I don't remember like how good this one. You play a card in an opponent's turn, you will play 1 recruit. So you play a card in your opponent's turn. Oh, so basically with these two, they are essentially the same. It's just whichever flavor kind of you want. For example, with this, yeah, naturally, no, you just play this. This is so much easier to pull off, right? So you have, because you're playing units naturally, and if they die, you just play another recruit token. The other one, you have to play cards on your opponent's turn, and that means spells, and that's not always gonna happen. You know, it's easier to trigger this, so I expect this to be the Victor that you would play. Alright, so I don't even know these cards exist. So yeah, that's the rest of all the order cards. I guess we'll take a look at these cards on the next video. For now though, yeah, so I'm flustered by that. I did not know those cards exist. So there are more cards to look at. So we'll look at those. I guess those are the signature. Yeah, those are the signature spells. I was wondering where those were. I read about them, but I thought, you know, they're just not in here. But or they were in the proving ground. Sorry, but I guess they are in the part of the set as well. So we'll look at the proving ground stuff as well as those few cards. We'll probably start with those few cards there, and then go into proving ground. Actually, let's just take a quick peek at the proving ground to see if like the units here have their, oh yeah, it's all on here too. Okay, I'm not gonna look at that anymore. I don't want to spoil myself. But yeah, as for the cards in here, which ones are the ones that I truly like? Karthus is definitely cool. Fiora is cool as well. Divine Judgment is probably my favorite card on here. Just so neat, and it's definitely something like you kind of build around. In terms of champions, it's probably Shen, or unit rather, probably Shen. This is a dope card. I did not know they already have this, which is like a you know, a pack attack in Final Fantasy. That's really cool. I really like that a lot, right? So very dope, very dope. Yeah, so that's about it for all the cards here in this color of yellow, the order color. Next video, like I mentioned, we will talk about, or we will look at the cards here from, there's battlefields too. I totally forgot about those. So yeah, we'll look at all the champion spells, the proving grounds cards, as well as I suppose the battlefields as well. Yeah, there's gotta be battlefields. We haven't talked about battlefields ever, and that's a big part of the game. Anyways, if you've liked the video, give it a like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. And, as I always say in here, drink your veggies.